Hello everyone, welcome back to Crafting on a Budget. We are going to be creating a beautiful micro mini junk journal. I had done a live a couple weeks ago on how to create this one, and I was asked if I could do another tutorial, just a little bit less interruption with the live chat. So we're going to redo this, but we're going to be using a digital file that I had specifically made for this album, this micro mini junk journal. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys the digital file, but before I do that, I am going to remind you guys, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so. Below on the right hand side you will see the subscribe button. Click on that, and next to that is the little bell. If you click on the bell, it will remind you whenever I go live or whenever I upload a video, so make sure you do that. And if you do not mind, please share my video out with others. Let them know that I'm back to crafting. It is totally appreciated. Don't forget that on November 1st, I will select a winner to receive something that I may have made or something that I might have seen at the store. I don't know what I'm going to put out. I know it's not going to be big because I can't do big things. I have to keep my budget down, but I will certainly pick out somebody that will get something. So that will be on the 1st. I haven't had time to do the comments because I was super busy with school. I had finals and I needed to work on my history of art design, which was totally kicking my booty. So I just wanted to let you guys know I did not forget about your comments. It is totally appreciated that you guys leave me beautiful comments, and I will be reading through those this weekend probably, because I've been really busy. So I will go through those comments. I will respond to you guys as normal, and on the 1st I will select the winner. Okay, so without further ado, I think I've reminded you guys to subscribe. Also, I will be using some products, and I will link those products in my Amazon affiliate links on the description box below. Guys, make sure you guys use that. It really helps me replenish my supplies, and every little bit helps. Even though it's not a great amount, you know, $10, that's a bottle of glue that I can purchase. So you guys help me whenever you guys purchase from my affiliate links. I'm going to be showing you guys some of the things that I'm going to use for this tutorial. The first thing, I want to move this out of the way, that you will need is, of course, the digital files that I had designed for this kit. Now, it is a beautiful, and I have printed it in the one I printed it on was on a Whisper White cardstock from Stampin' Up. I will also link that below if you guys want to purchase that from my Stampin' Up website. It is very thick. This is about 80, I think about an 80 point. It's thick. And this one is a Hobby Lobby one, as you can see. Now this is the front cover that goes protects your book. So this is where your book's going to be mounted. These are your front cover mats, and of course you have some ephemeras here. So I have specifically asked for the measurements that is used to make this micro mini. It's right here. All you have to do, the only thing you have to do is cut some chipboard, and I use a 60 point chipboard that's very thick, as you guys can see. And don't mind my nails, I was not able to get them done. I was scrubbing today, so my nails got chipped, so I apologize for that. So it's very thick, as you can see, and I will link it below on my Amazon affiliate. This is where I purchased it, and I like this one. It's very thick, as you can hear. So the only thing that you will have to do is get, of course, once you buy this little digital file, is your chipboard. And you can also take a scrap piece of, like, I always use craft paper from Hobby Lobby. I love it. Or you could use cardstock to make your template, and I will give you the measurements for that. So you have your front cover, your little mats that goes on top, your spine, and lots of little ephemeras. These are your signature pages covers. You got a total of 6 actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you cut them to size for your junk journal. Okay. Oh, you also need some printer paper, but we're going to get to that. Okay. So then you have, again, the inside cover mat, some little cute tiny little pockets. Look how cute those are, so stinking adorable. More ephemeras, more little pockets, and some little tickets down here. Perfect for Christmas, guys, perfect. And here's another sheet of digital files that you can print out. So go ahead, click on that little description below. Check out these digital files specifically made to create this micro mini junk journal and support this artist. Okay, I will talk more about this later on, but I think you guys will love the collaboration that we've done together. And it also goes to show that no matter what happens in life, we all make mistakes that we can get through together, healing, because that's what God would want. What we have to think this way: what would Jesus do? And what Jesus would do is forgive. So again, I will link it below, and you guys will understand why I have decided to collaborate with this crafter and try to bring healing within the community. So I hope you guys support this crafter. I hope you guys support this designer. I know I could have designed it. I know I could have done it because I'm going to school for graphic designs, but I totally support other crafters, and I wanted to support this particular crafter. So if I'm able and willing to move forward and put the past behind the past, I think that you guys can too as well. So I hope you guys support her. I hope you guys check out her digitals, and I hope you guys love this particular one that I collaborated with her. So we'll do that. So that is that. All right, so what do you need? You need printer paper. I buy my printer paper at Walmart. It's like almost $4, not quite, and it's about 500 sheets that you get. I'm going to put my little notebook with information here. So I get that. Now, if I'm going to be coffee dyeing or tea dyeing, I like to cut my pages before I actually coffee dye or tea dye, because once you've coffee dyed it and dip it in there, it's going to shrink, and it's going to be a lot harder to cut it with your paper cutter. So I strongly recommend that you cut it to size before you actually coffee dye or tea dye. You can also brush it like you saw my live. I took a paintbrush and just kind of brushed my paper after I cut it. You can do it that way as well, or I dip it or spray it and then put it in a baking sheet and put it in the oven and bake it at 350, keeping my eyes on it, because within a couple seconds it's totally dry. So again, you can do it with a paintbrush, use your heat gun, dry it, bake it in the oven. You can also set it outside and let it dry up. Just want to make sure it's fully dried. Okay, so get that out of the way. Now you're also going to need an awl, and in the description below I have a bookbinding toolkit, and this is part of it. I will link it below so you guys can check it out. This is a perfect little piercing tool. If you don't have this, you can also use a needle or one of your little piercing tool. I just kind of like this one because it's for bookbinding, but of course you don't have to use that. You will need thread. I'm using a thick upholstery thread. You could use wax thread. You can run this through wax. You could also use some thin twine, which I've used in the past. But yeah, you can use thread as long as thick and it's not old thread. You don't want old thread, because if you start pulling and tugging and it breaks, you don't want that. So you want to make sure it's very thick. Do a little test on it to see if it'll break. Pull it, tug it, and make sure it's perfect for this. So thread, a needle, binder clips, and you could go to Dollar Tree and get some nice binder binder clips for $1. I have these from when I had my shop, and they're several years old, so I have those from then. You can get them at Office Depot, Walmart, Office Max, I don't know, Staples, all those office supply places. Scissors, of course. These were gifted to me by Young Sue, but you want some scissors. A PVA glue. Yes, you're going to need a PVA glue. Now, this is a very good bookbinding glue that helps bind your pages. This is what we use when I worked at the library. And you want something really good. And this is a very highly recommended that I recommend. I will put the link below as well. This big old bottle is about $11, but this is going to last you a very long time. So make sure you guys click on that link. You will need your bone folder. Again, I like this one because this is like a silicone one, and I can get really good in there to get the creases and the burnishing, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I don't like, there's a big difference between this one and the other bone folder because this one actually gets in there and does the job. You can do two sides. You can do this one or this one, but I love it. I just absolutely love it. Let's see, your ruler. I'm just using a Tim Holtz ruler, paper trimmer, a scoreboard, and chipboard. I think I discussed the chipboard. I already showed you guys the chipboard, and a self-healing mat. Mine is pretty grungy up because it's flubbed. And you can also use some painter strips or painter tape, sorry, to adhere down. Now I recycle mine because this stuff is expensive, so I just kind of recycle my tape. It's reusable. And you can use any type of distress inks if you want. I use a sewing machine to go around my edges. As you can see, I sewed my signature pages, and I think that's about it, guys. I think that's it. All right, so your chipboard, you're going to need 2 pieces, and I know I just tossed one right here. That is 2.5 by 3. You need 2 pieces of that, guys. 2 pieces that's 2.5 by 3, and another piece that is 3/4 inch, 3/4, not an inch, 3/4 by 3 inches. Okay, 3/4 by 3 inches. Let me turn it this way so you can see my one. Okay, 3/4 by 3 inches. You need 2 2.5 by 3, 1 3/4 by 3, and of course you're going to need your digital files because that's really important. If you don't have this, I guess you could use your I've sewn mine already. I've done all that work because I figured you guys didn't want to see me do all that, right? But you want to make sure you cut every little piece from your digital collection if you get this junk journal kit. And I leave my little threads. You can go in towards the end and kind of trim off whatever you don't want. That's a little, you know, hanging and you don't want all that. Or you can totally cut them all off. I like the threads hanging out. I think it gives it a really cute, unique look. But again, everyone is entitled to however they want. So I'm just going to trim some of these because I just pulled them out of the sewing machine. And I use a very inexpensive sewing machine. I had once used my very expensive fast sewing machine and that kind of messed it up. So yeah, no more doing that. So use a very cheap, inexpensive sewing machine if you're going to be sewing on paper. I don't highly recommend you using anything that is expensive, okay? Don't be pulling out your quilting. If you're a quilter, don't pull out those quilting sewing machine, okay? Or if you're a seamstress, I don't want to hear it because you will get fibers stuck inside. And just make sure you have some good maintenance, okay? All right, so once you've had that, you can also use some Scor tape if you guys want. I'm not using Scor tape because it's a little bit more harder to lay it down, and if you screw it up, you don't want to screw it up, right? I don't want to screw it up, so I strongly recommend you don't. Now I'm going to use this little metallic rub that I made. There's a video on how I made this for the edges of my paper because I wanted to give it a nice little shimmer on there. So you guys could do whatever you guys want. I'm also going to use vintage photos. You guys know I love that stuff. That's my favorite ink. And I also have this, let's see, which one are we going to use? We're going to use Red Barn. Let's use some Red Barn from Tim Holtz's dressing. Okay. And I have my little brushes. Oops. Man down, man down. Okay. I have my little blending brushes. Again, I will link these below. I love these. They work better than the ones from Tim Holtz. You might need a pencil, so you can do that as well. Alright, so here's the little digital file. I've cut it out. I am going to distress it once I have glued these down. Now what I strongly suggest is measure with your pencil. Should be about half-inch seam on the side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I just kind of line up my Tim Holtz, yeah, take my Tim Holtz ruler and I lined it up and I make a little mark for my half-inch. That way I know I'm going to drop that in there and I'm not going to make any oops boo-boos, right? So kind of flush it in and line it up. Makes it a lot easier. And it might be a little bit bigger on the bottom because I think, yeah, it might be just a slightly bit bigger. Let's see. I'll tell you where you're going to line it up. Alright, so we're going to go a half-inch from the bottom and then another whatever's left on the top. So I'm just going to mark it at a half-inch. We were trying to round it off so that made it easier for designing purposes. So that's why it's going to be a little bit. So just make sure you flush it to the bottom one. Just make sure you do half-inch, and half-inch at the bottom, and just leave that one, you know, a little bit. Let me see. Set this off. And I don't have my glasses on, so I might be a little bit. There we go. A little bit blinded. So this is a little runny, so and you could also use, I should have used some of my fabric tack. I kind of like my fabric tack to tack this down, but we're going to do this one here to tack this down. And use your Tim Holtz, flush it against that one. That way you can attach your spine. I just kind of lay it flushed in. Because I have my little line placement there, I can just line it up. And it kind of helps, it really does. Especially if you have an issue like me. I'm going to use my brayer and burnish that in a little bit. Being careful it doesn't move, okay? Again, you could use your Scor tape for this. But Scor tape sometimes could be a little bit, if you have shaky hands, and you know, my arthritis has been acting up. I don't know about you guys, but the weather's been acting up really bad here. So my arthritis has been acting up really bad. So, don't want to, and I'm just going to rub my finger in. Again, let's flush, use the ruler to flush it. Use my line at the bottom. to place it right in. And there we go. Okay, and let's burnish that. Now that I have that line, I'm just going to go ahead, draw a line and miter those little corners out a little bit better. Particularly like that. Use my little scissor here and snips. Cut little squares. Now, one thing I can tell you that maybe you might want to use your fabric tack to attach your chipboard down to your paper. Fabric tack is not water soluble. It'll dry up a lot faster. So use your fabric tack if you can, and use your coupon, guys. Don't be afraid to use your coupons. All right. I'm going to kind of miter this just a bit, snip off just a tad bit on each little end. I love these little scissors. Young Stu and I have this little inside joke. We love scissors. We have a collection of scissors. And so she sent me these and I'm like, oh my god, these are so perfect. Got flyaways everywhere. Okay. Don't need my ruler for a bit, so let's move that out of the way. Go ahead and get these little edges in. I just kind of squish those down. Get your spine worked in. Okay. Now you could use some brads and eyelets, and you might want to do that, and I might do that, so you can hang a chunky charm or something on your spine, okay? But I am probably gonna attach, and I'll show you guys how do I do my little bead thing. I think that's what I'm gonna do for mine. I'm probably not gonna add a chunky charm, because I think I'm gonna add, I love these little charms I add on the spine, so we'll just do one of those together. Okay. Alright. I am going to use my Scor tape for this. I guess I should have added that to the little list of supplies you're going to need. Never see where I'm cutting. I'm always cutting more than I should. But right now I don't have my glasses on, so that is going to happen. I'm probably going to cut more than I should. I love this little tool. I do. All right. Pull this out. I'll just kind of pull them all out at the same time. Okay. Put that in. Fold that one in. Use your little bone folder. It's so awesome. Put that one in. And then lastly, but not least, pull that one in. Very easy peasy. Now, at this point, if you want to add a chunky charm or anything to your spine, this is when you're going to do it. Go ahead and pierce your hole in the center. I'm adding one of my little bead thingies for my spine. But this is the point where you're going to attach your little, if you get this little digital, you're going to attach this to it and then pierce your hole and attach your eyelet. Okay, so this is the point where you want to do that. And you also want to get your inside matting and make sure you get that attached as well. Okay, so get that, those stuff, but do not glue this. Do not glue this. And you also need some seam binding or any ribbon that you want or any closure that you want to add. Okay, but do not glue this down. Just kind of wing it. Maybe take some of those repositional tape like the painter's tape and put some down, pierce your hole, attach your eyelet, and then remove, well, attach your eyelet. You don't want to take your eyelet to this. You want to get the eyelet to this once, but you also want to make sure your hole, you know, because you need to attach that your hole goes pierced through completely. Does that make sense? So basically you're going to pierce your holes completely through, remove this one, attach your eyelet to these pieces, okay, and then leave this aside because we need to work on the signatures go on this. Okay, so that's how you're going to do that. Alright, so while I'm here, I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac to glue this down. Kind of like that. And how I keep this working is I'm constantly cleaning my tip and closing it. And if it gets kind of, what do you call it, clunky or gooky or gummy, see if you hurry up and put that on, no problem. I kind of wipe off that tip immediately. Okay, and that's how you get it from not getting so gummy. And you can also add a little bit of acetone nail polish remover, and that'll work as well to get it kind of flowy again. So I'll do that there. Okay, so this is the point where you want to attach, pierce your hole, put your eyelet. Okay, so we'll do that. Move that a little bit. And I could have distressed that, and I didn't, but I can. I'm going to go in here. These my vintage photos is what I'm going to use. I don't want to go right on my mat, so Let me get some wax paper. I don't want to go right on my mat. I just love these little brushes. I really do. I think it just makes it a lot easier for blending. And they're a lot more affordable. Trust me, they are. And you could easily wash them up and reuse them. Okay. Do the same thing in the inside. When I start to do my pages, I'm going to give a quick description, and then I'm going to do what's called a kettle stitch. And I will talk really briefly, but I know that I'm trying to keep these videos kind of short. Kind of hard on this one, but alright, so we got that. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Distress this one. Kids are listening to loud music, and I apologize for that. Okay. And leave that aside. Now, this is your inside map, and I want you guys to take your scoreboard, and I want you guys to score it at 2 3/8 and 3 1/4. This is the inside mat. You're going to score it at 2 3/8 and 3 1/4, okay? Because that's going to go right inside like so. Right? Just like that inside, okay? All right. All right, so that's that. I'm going to now, from now on, since I'm going to be distressing some of this stuff, I don't think you guys need to see me do all that. So I'm going to be back. I'm going to have all that done, and we'll continue forward. Okay, we have all the edges, all the ephemeras cut out from the entire collection. I have distressed it with the vintage photos, and for the poinsettias I used Tim Holtz Red Barn, and I'm going to go in with a little bit of this. Now this is a rub that I created, metallic rub. I'm just going to kind of give it a little bit of a sparkle on the edges. You could also take some embossing folder, or not embossing folder, listen to me, embossing powder, and get the edges as well. I'm going to do this for also for the pages. I'm going to bring this over here so I'm not getting my mat yucky. You can also take a little metallic pen and go around the edges as well if you have one of those little metallic pens. And Miss Penny gave me one, and I have to go across the room to get it, so we're going to use this for now. But that would have been great as well if you can just go around the edges. Oops. Take some little stickles, go in here, give it a little bit of a shimmer. I might do that. Let me get my paint. Alright, so around the edges, what I'm going to do, I distressed that. I'm just going to take some and just go carefully without getting a paper cut now. Just go around the edges. Give it a nice little gold shimmer there. Again, you can go with some embossing powder, like the gold. Dip this into the Versamark and dip it into your powder, and you can do it that way as well. And I'm being careful that I don't get a paper cut. Do not like those. Okay. You're going to do that to all your little pages, and then we'll be back, okay? Okay, so we are back. I have gone in and taken the metallic rub, and I've gone around the edges, as you can see there. Now, one thing that I want to point out is the best way and the easiest way to get your... The camera's kind of showing my mess there and my coffee.